Our first game that we're covering today on Tiny Deck Concerts is a couple of Waddle games. An Otter one by Aaron Andrew Wilson and Western Legends Slowdown by Erwan Rickard. So, first Otter one, how this works is standard button shy. You got 18 cards, and on the cards themselves that you're playing with, you have different numbers and also an up or down arrow on each of the cards. So how it works is you're going to flip over a neutral card. Each player is going to have 3 cards in their hand. So let's say we flip over this neutral card here. There's 1 that is going down. The rank that isn't too important for the neutral card. It's just the fact that it's going down. And then players are going to play into the trick. So let's say it's your turn and you're playing this 2 down, and then I play this 3 up. You're going to look at the 3 cards, 1 neutral, 1 played by both players, and you're going to see what is the most prevalent of the arrows. So as you can see, there's 2 down arrows to that 1 up arrow. So that means the lowest card in the trick is going to win the trick. That would be the 2 that you played. And so the winner of the trick is going to take all 3 cards, and they're going to choose 1 to go into their scoring area, 1 to go into the other player's scoring area, and then finally 1 to go in the center on what you're scoring. So as you can see, there's a couple of different options. This one right here says score a point for each odd that's in the center. So if I give that to myself, I put an odd in the center, and then I gave you this everything over 9. This is great because this odd is giving me a point, whereas this says each over 9 and 1 is not over 9. So I'm already doing well. So then players are, they're going to have 3 cards. There's always going to be a neutral card, and you're just going to play it out like that. You're going to have a scoring for your side, scoring for their side, but then you're going to have a central row that you are scoring. And that's essentially how to play an Otter one. And I'm going to shoot it over to the keyboard maestro themselves with thoughts on an Otter one. Hey, cheers! You gotta imagine it's in because couldn't stretch the power chords. You're just gonna imagine I'm playing. All my friends, LCD sound system. Okay, an Otter one. This is an interesting one. It's not feeling. I mean, it's there-ish, right? There's tricks and such. Sometimes, it's just such a small hand, that it feels almost, and also it's like, may follow, and there's a lot of light elements sprinkled around that kind of really don't feel trick-taking-y, especially because when you take the 3 cards, the neutral and the 2 that you play, like, they always, 1 goes to your opponent, 1 goes to you, 1 goes to the middle. So just feels, more like a card game. But there's some fun choices. It's pretty light. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, good times. Sure, it's an Otter one. It's an Otter one. It's an Otter one. It's an Otter one. Yeah. Okay, back to you. Thank you so much. And this next game that we're covering is another Is This a Trick-Taking game? And it's also in a wallet. And how it works is, again, brief overviews, is each player is going to have a deck of cards. And these are going to be suited little, well, I guess it doesn't quite matter if they're suited, but a variety of numbers with powers on the bottom. And how it works is, players are going to be playing these cards underneath to kind of an area, and the different areas are going to be shuffled. There's 3 in a game, but there are a variety of them, so it changes up each game how you play. And so you're kind of playing to different tricks, a la Monster Trick, but in reality you're kind of just, playing cards to an area, and sometimes it depends on what rank you're playing there or what types of cards. Like this one says, the Saloon, you can win there if there are 3 more wallop cards of any color. And each player has, I should show you, 3 wallop cards in their deck. So you're playing there, and it's kind of like a climbing trick-taking game, if that makes sense, because to be able to play to an area, you have to have a higher card than the other player. Kind of interesting. We've never had like a climbing, or have we? Well, anywho, it's an interesting idea to think about it that way. But again, is this trick-taking? Well, let's go back to the keyboardist and let's see what they think. Hey, and we're back on Corella and we're talking about Western Legend Showdown. This is another, is it a trick-taking game? It's cool to think about it that way, like a climbing trick-taking game. I remember Adam in Wales has a really fun breakdown of trick-taking versus climbing versus shedding in that Venn diagram video. I love it. It's so fun to just recommend it to folks who might be a little fuzzy on the concepts, and Adam is just great. So, but this one, trick-taking, in a way, if you think about it as like different tricks, and then climbing, definitely, because you have to play higher, but it's cool that everyone has like the same deck. Definitely a bit of the luck of the draw on what you get. I mean, it's funny, you know, an Otter one and this one have, you know, similarly small hand sizes, loose trick play, to the fact that if anyone was like, let's play a trick-taking game, and they pick this or an Otter one, I'd be like, let's have an Otter idea. But they are fun, light, bite-size, interesting takes on trick-taking adjacent. But that one, because you both have the same deck, there's some fun like kind of tempo to it, and I think it's an interesting hoot and a half. There's some fun meta. That is Western Legends. All right, back to you for another song number 3. Thank you so much. Our next little tune here is called Duel, and it is, again, a little bit of a tiny deck. Plays 2 to 3, and the kind of twists and the hook that are going on here is in Duel, just like in the name, each card has a different suit on either side. It's a little domino-ish, so like this is a 2 yellow, but if it's flipped, it becomes a 7 of the blue rabbit suit. There's also little stars on the cards, which is very important. How it works is pretty much must follow, but if the lead player is the only one who was on suit, right? So it does play, you know, 2 or 3, but if they play and everyone's off suit, or the other player's off suit in a 2-player game, then it actually goes to star amount. So it's highest star amount. So a little bit interesting in terms of the flow of like short suiting yourself and how that works. And then for the scoring is also very interesting, which helps actually. I have a wonderful kind of diagram, which actually will probably be the easiest way to show you. But how scoring works is there's like a circle, an X, and a star. And a circle you get if you win the most cards, and if there's a tie, it's whoever has the most stars. But an X you get for winning the last trick. So what's interesting is, as you can see on the bottom here, you get 1 point for winning the last trick, 2 points for winning the most cards. But if you have an X and a circle, because you can, as you can see here, you put an X inside a circle, then that's actually worth 4 points. So it's like you want to win the last. Well, you want to do both because it's just a ton of points, but you get extra points if you do both, which is fun. And then finally, you get a star for every number 5 that you win, and 3 stars is 1 single point. So that is a little bit of the hooks and the twists and a tiny bit of how to play Duel. Let's go back over the keyboard and see what we think. Alrighty, cheers. Ding, 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 dong, ding, ding. Who got you? Who got you? Who got you? Run away. Anyway, Duel is an interesting one in that I played it mostly at 2 players, and that has a very, speaking of Duel, it has a very interesting pace where, since it is a little zero-sum, you have this interesting kind of back and forth on the tempo of the 5s, and also short suiting, because if you lead and they're short suited, right, you already have a lot of the wackiness. And so a lot of it is paying attention and card counting at 2. It feels like kind of like a little bit of a knife fight in a phone booth. And the scoring, I think, is super interesting. I already love I love when I get that sense of multiple ways to win, you know, like capturing 5s or like capturing the last trick or trying to take the most tricks. That's always fun. And short suit has this where you try to short as many times as you win a trick. And I love how 2 things together can get you like more points. So in that game, if you do both of them, you get more points. And in this game, if you both capture a lot of cards and win the last trick, you have like a nice little marriage with the circles and the X's. So that's fun. There's a fun game in, again, a very short amount of cards. We talk about on the channel back when we covered like catchy or 12-trip trick, how you can have sometimes like with even though it's a very low amount of cards, have a lot of depth to the game. And this one, I think, does a good job. I think some of the play, because you can kind of know so much about your opponent's hand at 2 players, gets a little knowingable, and some of the trick play can kind of lead to like a little less interesting moments. But I think overall, there's some cool things that it's doing, and that is Dual. All right, back to you. Thank you so much. Okay, we're on to our final song. Thank you so much for having us. You know, Tiny Deck is a dream. We love it, and it's just amazing all the different Tiny Deck games that you've had on this wonderful channel. So it's really truly an honor for us to be here. Our last one that we're talking about is funny because it's a little bit different. The previous games that we've talked about have been Tiny Decks in terms of quantity of cards in the deck, but this is literally a small deck. Like, the cards themselves are incredibly tiny. As you can see, to an average guitar fret, it's about 2 of them, but the amount of cards is relatively standard. It's actually kind of a large quantity of cards. So this last one's a little bit wild. It is, I think, called Mamure. Probably should know the names of the songs that we're playing. Woo! And the hook, the twist to this bad Larry is, as you can see, the cards have just little symbols on them. So stars or water drops or clovers. And on the back, it tells you, it's like this star here on the back tells you that is a 6. Whereas this star here tells you on the back it is a 2. And now what's interesting is, let me hold them up side by side. It might be hard to tell that actually these are different sizes. So try to guess which one is the 6 and which one is the 2. And I should say, higher number, the bigger the symbol. So this 2 here, oh wait, you don't know which one's the 2. This 2 here is actually smaller, so I'll reveal 2 on this side. And how it works is, you get dealt these cards, right? And similar to Magic Trick, Xylotar, you're going to have them face up in front of you, and you are judging with your eyeballs the size of the literal shape and how that might correspond to the rank in the back. So no one sorts it for you, not like Magic Trick or Xylotar. You literally will take your cards, you'll line them up, and you can kind of see the difference on all of them, but you don't know what that means for the rank, right? So like if I'm looking at these 3 stars here, it might be, again, hard to tell on camera, but in person, I can tell that it looks a little bit like this. So this would be the highest star. And if I flip it over, I would know 6, and then 3, and then 2. So I was right, I got them right in order, but I didn't know if this was like a 4 instead of a 3, right? So what's fascinating is you're playing based on visual judgment of the shape on the card. Absolutely wild. And what makes it even more special is in the middle there, because the cards rank from, I think, 1 to 8, so roughly in the middle there, the 5s are the trump number in the game. So right in the middle, when it's the most vague maybe, or most hard to tell, is this big shape, small shape, or what it is, that, when it is played, will actually win the trick. Whew, pretty wild. So visual-based judgment, non-rank knowing trick taking. We're gonna go to the keyboard for the final time and get some final thoughts. Cheers. Last but not least, dun dun dun! Malumière. Oh, the name of it is on Malumière. Should have noticed that the name is actually on there. So I didn't really say it. And speaking of things I didn't really say, I didn't actually explain a huge part of the game. Is after you get out your hand and you sort it, you actually pick one of your cards as your bid, and that's the number of tricks you need to win. And what's funny and hilarious and leads to what I think is kind of the vibe of this game is that you show the other players so they know the card you bid with. So like, let's say I had them all lined up and I picked this one as my bid because it's maybe a little small and I don't want that many tricks. I'm going to show everyone else, but I don't know what it is, but they do. So everyone else knows I need 2 tricks, but I don't. So there's a lot of like schadenfreude in the game where everyone's just laughing inherently because maybe someone thought it was tinier than it was and they reveal like a 5 and everyone's like, oh, okay. Or vice versa, right? And so I think that just lends to the silliness of the game where you're already like, you don't really know your hand because it's really hard to judge. And then everyone else knows what you're going for, but you don't. There's just a lot of goofiness in the game. And to that point, I would definitely recommend this as a small, goofy, fun game. I think it's interesting that when I read about it or when people were talking about it, I was nervous it was going to feel too close to Xylotar or Magic Trick just because it has that face down cards in your hand and then you're bidding with a card in your hand, so that's pretty close, right, to sounding to Xylotar and Magic Trick, but very different, wildly different plays. It's almost like Skull King and Skull King dice, or Minos dice, or mythical dice, or whatever that new edition is called. In that one game is like a precision bidding, very thoughtful game, and the other one is like the goofiest game ever. If you don't know, Skull King is a game kind of like Wizard where you bid on how many tricks you're going to win, and there's kind of like a little bit of like a if this then that thing where like certain cards beat others, and but in Minos dice or Skull King dice or mythical dice, you literally will roll your cards, their dice, and it's just random what comes up, and it's just like incredibly random and goofy. That's what this feels like, if that makes sense. So, thank you so much for coming to our Tiny Deck concert. Hope you had a good time, and we'll kick it back to the guitar. See you later. Wah. Thanks for having us, Tiny Deck Concerts. It was a wonderful time showing you all of our fun little hits. Thanks for having us. See you next time.